we'll start with sanitation waste fund. We're gonna come back, I did skip over a few funds in the book. We are on page 130 of the big book. And we'll go into first the revenues. We'll go saying that the revenues for sanitation have been slightly increasing over the years. We have had still increases. A lot of that was attributed to the 1%, we had that $1 increase for 3 years in a row. We do have in this budget, which we'll talk about, another $1 increase, but we'll talk about that in just a second. You do see the jump again in that 2020, 2021, that was a capital expense when we bought that front loader, so that was a jump in the revenues for that. This year we are anticipating a growth, again, it is with the $1 increase, but the $320 of that is, 320,000, thank you, is the capital. This isn't residential, residential is the $1 increase. Again, we'll talk about that, because I do understand this concern. But again, we're looking at an increase for that, year over year. This is my favorite slide. It's very simple where our money comes from, residential, commercial. Noted yard waste, commercial yard waste, we don't recycle. All right. So getting into the expenses and increases, there is an increase. This is a little hard to read, I'm sorry. There is an increase if you go to page, this is on page 132, I think. Yeah. And then 131 dives into it. There is an increase in salaries. This was another group that was benefited from the class and comp increase. We also do have, I believe, another, no, we don't have position here, but that is from there.
Well, and also too, you'll see an increase in the salaries and benefits because this is where we're truing up. We had our maintenance team, which is Henry, which is mechanics, him and his assistant. A percentage of them are now covered here. They're not truly our utilities. They do actually spend a lot of time over here in sanitation, so we're truing up our budget there.
So again, there is a $1 increase to the salary, to the rates. Now, I think it's still relatively affordable. We do a pretty affordable sanitation, but I want to talk about that. We do have some options because, again, growth is kind of, it is relatively, it's getting more expensive to operate and do these things. As we know, inflation is no stranger to sanitation like it's everywhere else. If we don't do it this year, we're going to have to do it in years.
You know, the ordinance that we're presenting for this is just the one, it's one year. It's not 30 years, it's just 1 year.
Residential side?
Just the residential side.
$1 per month, so it'd be $12 over the year
Per resident.
for the resident.
And that is only about an increase of
$31,000.
$31,000.
Yeah. But it is,
We do think it's necessary, but I understand that, anytime we raise rates, we want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that,
This is the sanitation monthly bill. Okay, so right now we're at
4419.
24.19. This will put us up to 25.19. And again, that includes your residential pickup, all your yard waste pickup. If you do recycling, you have the option for that. So include all those things for the 1 year, $24.
There's a 1 year deal.
1 year.
To help us.
the inflation would cost, how much everything put up, it is, I would say that's.
When is this gonna start?
This would be effective June, or July.
July 1.
July 1. Thank you.
resident,
It'd be, I believe the bill would be like that.
That's right.
resident was free to let murder. But if we don't do $1 now, what's it gonna be next year?
I don't know, I think that,
55.
I don't think we'll have that high of a jump. I mean, we have maintained our rates pretty effectively. It is possible to push it off a year. We do have some solutions that we have already discussed about how we can transfer the purchasing equipment between different departments. Because for instance, one of our properties, it'll need, that's $85,000 we can sell to utilities, and that'd be a switch of funds and revenues. Also, as we just discussed with personnel, we could go back and split the personnel costs between, for instance, the assistant, who does do some utility stuff, and make sure we use him for utilities as well. So there are options. I understand, and I'll be quite honest, I understand this is on the heels of a yard waste change. And so that is
So the optics of it.
the optics of it. So, this was, when we look at it from a budget standpoint and from our standpoint, we're not raising it, this makes sense to us. But I completely understand the political side of it, and we can totally justify a one-year cutoff. But we would need to look at it next year, absolutely. And I can't promise you it will only be $1.
So there's $1 on a piece of that, $31,000 total.
We have 3,100 customers essentially use residential program that would pay the increase. Is that about?
No, it's not, it's not even that.
It's a little bit less than that.
Yeah,
but it
it's about
generates
$2,900, but it would be about
$31,000.
$39,000
Yeah.
for the whole thing.
I think our accounts ran at one time was on the low end, so between 39, it's about,
Yeah.
It's in there,
It's about
the,
30,
yeah.
if you refer to it in the book, it's,
2008,
ma'am,
2004, 2008, that's my number.
when it was raised or?
No, what kind of number?
Oh, okay. We'll look it up at your resistance.
So, with the general public, like you said, really from your situation,
Adjusting on it.
yeah, adjustment. And looking at the, that,
So we did, we have some comments about that with the leaf back. So I'd like to talk about the increase, we can talk about the leaf back at some point. We do have some comments about what we think is, what was required and what's not required. We were gonna have a discussion about that.
okay,
But I think it's possibly fair, and I kind of sense that it might make sense to hold this off for a year.
Well, I think, Teresa kind of echoed my thought that even though they're separate things, the public's gonna see this as a double win.
Of course.
You just made this change, now you're making this change. Again, kicking the can down the road doesn't, in the end of the day, doesn't benefit anybody. But, I do think the perception will be that it's so-called double win.
Sure.
And we really need to explain that way.
see, that's interesting, but every year we increase water sewer rates, right, 3%. We don't get that feedback on that, but that's interesting that happens with sanitation, right? I expect, which it does every year, my sanitation go up, I expect my food bills to go up, right? So I felt like $1 a month was not, I would love to see my utility bills only go up $1 a month.
Yeah.
That feels minimal to me for one person.
Am I wrong about,
perception?
it's different when you have the situation we had.
Right, talking about with the yard waste
That
thing.
we-
One, I think for me, I saw that we were barely struggling to break even here. It's expensive. It is expensive to do it. Even with what we provide with the change on it, it is still very expensive what they're doing.
I think the
I think I get that, and inflation is huge.
But that's completely y'all's fault. I see what you're saying, and I don't want nothing to do with that.
I think we need a win, and the win will be of that. In some way, you know, how that works, I don't know, whether you lease it, or you get somebody to, you know, do it for us, whether you buy it, I don't know the numbers on that.
They
I
don't
think,
touch more than $1 a month.
It will.
You know, I think they need a win on that, particularly during lease season.
But can we look at it this way? Do we inform citizens that they do not pay for not for sanitation, for yard work?
It's not a separate charge, that's true.
There's not a separate
City sewer
charge.
is a separate charge. for that.
There's no charge.
No.
There's no charge, that's what I'm
That's the
saying.
difference, there's no charge.
But do citizens know that?
No, I don't think so. Everything will be all the same.
Sure.
So if we do the dollar,
Let people know.
we,
Right.
you know, have a big, huge sign. We do not praise yard work.
And that is true, like when I think about my sanitation, bill, that's everything, like, I'm free, if it's not in the trash can, they won't pick it up.
You know, what? This is my thought. I paid whether I put a leaf out or not. So that's the public perception.
Oh, sure, yeah, completely understand. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove the $1 increase. I think they wanna push
They want Lynn to do the lease back, that's what they're saying.
But do you, if we do a leaf back, do you also want our acres?
Yeah, you do agree, but you get it.
If you do the lead
So
back,
$2 increase, got it.
then you can say the $1 and then highlight that it is the lead back.
Okay. Oh,
How do
I
you
mean,
guys
I
feel
think
about
so
that?
what's gonna be the most economical way on the lease back, whether it's us operating it, or we contract that out, or, you know, lease it for a limited time?
so we have looked into, contracting it out. I don't necessarily think there's a company that does that we can find. And then to purchase a leaf back, we're in the 220 to 250 range, is that about right? Or higher, 270? What was it?
300.
270, 300. The main concern.
But now, the 270, 300 is just for the actual truck.
Right. and so-
Probably gonna need
Now
additional
we need another
people.
driver. So here's just the, kind of, to get past all brass tacks. So, when we had the leaf back, the issue we had with it was down constantly, because people were throwing stuff in there that was not needed to be picked up by it, and it was damaging the impellers, and that was a problem. These are common problems across the board. I like the idea of a leaf back that people have to walk with, so they can see what they're picking up, but it still doesn't guarantee you're gonna not pick up something that is bad. We are pushing for a rear loader, because we need one. If you go through the capital list, our last one was like 26, one we want to place is 26 years old. So we need that. And so the thought is that a leaf back, while it will be a political win, operationally, we're not sure how effective it will be, especially if it goes down, because then we'll be right back to exactly what we have to do anyway. So if we don't make people continue to bag their leaves, everything we just did is for naught. So
People will put bricks and sticks.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's worth 1 year of trying it, as we said.
Well, then the other issue is you're 18 months out, they said they wouldn't even have one available, I think even for lease, for 18 months.
And that's just their.
That would be a
It's
very
just,
minimal.
that's the way it is to try to find one right now, nobody has them.
Anything you put on the ground, it's gonna have everything in. Anything on the ground that's not bagged, is gonna have everything in.
I just, hate looking at October through December or
Yeah.
January with, the number of bags that people are gonna really have to put out there.
Well, I mean, and we experienced it when we
You
had
know.
in January, February, the leaves were.
Well, but, you know, at least in my yard, the big part was from October through New Year's Day, that's the big part there. Bagging those up.
Well, we still can, we have the roll carts right now, I think we have up to 1,200 roll carts, and I believe almost all of them are out again.
Well, and most people aren't gonna be able to do like one house I passed this morning when I was walking, and had the seats out. But most people don't have one, we fill one up a week with just normal stuff, this is not even leaf season, So, I think that's gonna be the issue.
We're on record in the process, and we'll look into this in budget session.
I mean, we could let me
Hard look. Whatever.
You know, and if we're 18 months out, so that means this fall, it's gonna be, that's not gonna be an option for long years. Which is gonna be a tough time.
What, you commented earlier, it worries me that if we start doing a leak back, people are gonna say, oh, I'm not backing again. And then the leak back's gonna go down because it sucks up a brick every 3 weeks. And we got, then what, then we have kind of nothing, it'd be just a big splat. That's my
Yeah,
worry.
and, I understand that, and if Danny was talking about a walk-on, which, that would help mitigate that a little bit, And many of us have gotten, notices on our front door, you could certainly do the same thing there. We didn't back them up your leaves because, there's stuff there, so we let people know. You're doing our notifications now, we didn't pick up your leaves because they're not in the bag. you know, so you do a little bit of that along. You know, but again, it's not gonna happen this year from what I hear, and I think you're gonna get, you know, a whole lot of pushback.
So we had the ordinance in place last fall, correct? Or was it not in place yet?
No.
Was in January, so y'all didn't face it.
It was passed
Right,
in
you
June,
hadn't
and goes into effect till January first.
you hadn't done a season of
Right.
leaves for greenbacks.
Right.
Okay, let's go follow on this, okay? Let's go back to the dollar, adjustment. Now, let's discuss that.
And that wasn't even related to the fleet tax.
That's right, yeah, right.
But the
right, yeah,
dollar,
yeah.
I just needed to try to
Yeah,
get
yeah,
us to
yeah.
break
Okay,
even.
let's decide on the dollar first. Based on everything we discussed, okay. I don't have a problem with the dollar, I understand you talking about it. I said it would look like, because it just went through this lead thing, that's something totally separate. But we're gonna make this adjustment, I can agree with Ms. Mack. I think we need to kind of like, do a little campaign that people know, let them know there's gonna be an adjustment. Not related to, if you have to, you know, understand, that's a sanitation thing. Because, my issue was, and some people talk to me about it, they have, second homes in Hartsville, they go for 2 or 3 months. And I was going through the same thing, I don't put a trash out. Our city, charge that 19 or whatever time, $21 a month. So I call up, I learned about, you can call, have your water temporary cut off, $10, hey, that's a great deal, so I would do that. But I still got charged that $19, $20 worth of sanitation, I could figure that out. So somehow I managed to talk me to pay the charge, and then it came back on me later. So, the $19 for sanitation is only going regardless whether you stayed in that house or not, or you occupied, I should say that way. So I don't have a problem with adding that $12 for the year sanitation. Nah, I don't see no problem. I mean, hey, that's, like, he said, hey, we can discuss the fact that the machine was gonna call the truck, but then we decide whether we wanna get it or not, you gotta let people know, you want certain things, it's gonna cost you. So, just live with that, we're just trying to keep the costs down.
And it is important to note that the sanitation and the library are separate. Like, there are conversations that are conflating and they're related, but
Yeah.
this perspective, they're separate.
But I'm gonna tell you now, she's right, I drive around, how you see those leaves, like I see cheers, and I see oversized land, people just
No,
don't
it's the same thing.
want to do the right thing.
They don't have to promote in there.
Want to do the right thing, man.
Well, anybody that picked up trash last week, if you came across a leaf pile, there were bricks in there, there
Oh, yeah,
were
it's crazy.
boards in
Street
there.
dogs.
There was all kinds, no, there were, I mean,
Beer
and they were
bottles
under,
and-
they were under the leaves. It looked like a normal leaf pile until you actually
Yeah.
started pulling, I mean, there's just all kinds of stuff.
Just want to do right.
Fishing hooks.
So how do other cities, you know, we're not the only city that does it this way, so what's a successful program look like in another city?
I can answer that for you.
Okay, good.
That brought us up a couple times. I go up down the East Coast, and I bring up the situation we have in Hartsville, folks in Virginia, Maryland, so they can't understand what's the problem with that, why you pay back? You know, they can't understand why we fight about bag and leave. To them, that's a normal thing.
This is the country.
Well, like 75%.
We in all countries.
We're the city, but we actually are in the country.
And you mean the mindset.
No, it's a concrete.
Then they buy their own bags.
It's a concrete and asphalt jungle bag, and it's something they have no choice in doing.
Well, they break the leaves and they bag them, you know, whatever, but they all do, they think this is a normal thing, they buy their own bags. And they keep them on.
I guess what I need to know, because I will make an amendment to the budget, which fund it should come out of, and maybe you can just tell me, and I could probably get a second, to buy a leaf vac if that's what we're looking at, and we can have that discussion then. But I wanna make sure I don't underhand, you know, if there's a contingency or if there's a
Well,
transfer
along with the
fund or
lead back
whatnot.
is gonna be, we're gonna have to add in also an additional personnel, they don't have someone for it.
Whatever it may take, I just need to know that amount.
So then we
And
probably
we
need
can-
to do the ordinance as well, because then when are you allowed to use the leaf back?
Well,
versus when
I
are
guess,
you not?
I guess we need to, if it's 18 months out, to get one,
Yeah, and
Yeah, we need
that
to
too,
do-
I need to go back to capital lease, because that's not an
you
issue.
know, so, but what I'm saying is, so the budget will not crash and burn. I need to make sure that when my amendment comes up, I make, you know, where's it coming from, contingency, where's, capital, whatever it may be, because, that's what, you know, I expect from.
But I think our staff, I know that they don't feel like it's the best move to get one as well. That's why I think we need to have a discussion with Sam and say.
So here's what we just need to understand, so it's a political consideration, we wanna go ahead and order a leaf vac. Do you want us to look into a complete leaf vac system? Or do you want us to look into a pull behind, or do you want us to give you options for that?
Yeah, I think the options would be good.
Okay.
And also in my mind, and maybe it's too convoluted and complicated, if I'm looking at a leaf back, in my mind, I'm looking for a seasonal one. I'm not looking for one, you know.
So then nobody's gonna bag their
April.
leaves in the fall? Everyone gets to use leaf back, because if my neighbor gets to put their leaves out and use leaf back, I'm not about to bag mine, right?
Well,
I'm gonna put mine out too.
whatever we say our next season is.
Okay, so
So
we
no
would
one
have,
bags
we would
it.
use it for.
You know, for leaves.
So let me ask this
But,
question.
you know, that may not be the best way, but, you know, it's, I think, and Bobby is right on this, when we had this discussion with council, and we had a room full of people, we said that we would look at it during this budget. This budget.
I think we're
workshop.
discussing
We're
it.
looking at it, and what I want to do is to get it done for those constituents. So, you know, what's the best way to do that?
Well, I mean, it sounds like the best way to satisfy the constituents that complain is to buy the leaf back. But, I mean, so, I'd love to talk a little bit about, if that is what your guys' minds are made up, then there's no, then we'll just buy it.
Well, you know, I
think
can speak for myself.
I think he wants the number,
So you would like to, so you, well. the
because that is a
number-
political conversation for us.
So the number to order one, we're in about the 270 range, and then.
Plus the
and plus a staff person, a seasonal staff person, or we have to look at somebody to drive it, CDL.
It's a CDL.
So we will get you those numbers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
now,
need the
you
number.
mentioned the walk behind, does that also require the same personnel?
Well, no, that would,
Yes,
it would
because
require.
you will have to
additional
pull it
personnel.
by a piece of equipment that can pull the trailer and be able to use the trailer mounted
Well,
lead bag will have to
it
blow
shoots
into
into
a
a-
dump truck.
Dump truck.
Station.
So you got,
Yeah,
have a
it
trailer.
won't require less,
right.
but it'll just be a.
You need a driver and someone to walk with the chute
Yeah.
as you're going along the road, so two people.
And although it's more labor intensive.
I will say, it'll probably decrease the operations, I mean, it will probably take much longer to do
Yeah.
if you go the lead back route. And keeping up week to week will not necessarily always be feasible. Because that lead truck will typically only be able to go down one side of the road. We have a lot of dead end streets, so you're pulling down one side, backing out, backing down the other side. And that lead back does not suck up leaves extremely fast. It's not, you just put it over top and it sucks them all out. And it's gonna create a lot of manual labor of getting those leaves up. And if you go that route, you'll have to, I don't see you'll be able to give any leeway to residents who put stuff in the leaf piles. I mean, you'll have to have a strict code enforcement and strict fine. And I mean, $20 ain't gonna cut it, cause people pay that $20 a week. Cause there's a high probability that machine will go down the first week you use it.
Philip, they've got some machines in Greenville, I know we're not in Greenville, but.
They have a very strict code enforcement and a very strict fine.
But they've got a leaf machine there that it is quick, I mean, it's pretty darn quick, some kind of blower, and there's a person out there with it.
And that's what I'm saying, you know, they're successful at it,
Yeah.
let's see what they're doing ordinance wise, let's see what they're doing personnel wise, equipment wise. And we're not Greenville, but, you know, we can, that is,
If it works, if you teach people what they need to do, just like the people came about the bags, and it was a brouhaha, but on the street, It actually was not. So if we stuck with the bag and the leaves were just to, because right now we have to rake up the leaves that are left,
We don't have to,
huh?
we don't have to, but if people complain about it, you really don't have to.
But that's what they,
I know some people complain about it.
some areas, are at least getting.
That's true.
So if we did the bag and look at a lighter with some type of, filter where it won't suck up a block, a cinder block and bricks.
And I'll
Is
tell
there
you,
any type of,
Something you can take.
yes, just like a hair dryer. You got different detachments, you know, you wanna air dry, you wanna straighten it out.
I don't think there's a screen you can put on it.
Not
that's
a
gonna hang.
screen, but just something that not web, but
Yeah.
you see that? Like a bicycle wheel,
Sure,
like
I
a
understand.
bicycle spoke.
So, the issue most of the time with it, it's just, I mean, so what I wanna do is I'd like to get the cost, for what it's gonna cost to buy one. The lead time, I'll get you costs on a pole hunt and also a EFAC. We'll get you the operational costs and we'll get you those numbers before the budget. If we need to talk about it, we can talk about it in the work session in May, right before the budget, and that way it can be something we can talk about amending the budget before the things, or if we need to go ahead and order something and not do capital lease, we do have ARPA funds, we can order it straight out of it. To not have to do that, we can talk about ARPA a little bit, and go from there.
and the reason I'm saying this is leaf season is exponentially more leaves than normal. You know, in my garden, I use my pickup truck as the wheelbarrow. Cause that's how many leaves I have, you know, and it's just not me, it's a lot of areas in the city. So you're using your pickup truck to bring the leaves to the front. I mean, it is a mountain. And it's not just once, it's every 2 or 3 weeks, you know, for that period of time.
About some trees, John.
And it
Well,
depends on what kind of.
We are tree city, Pete.
Yeah, like magnolia leaves.
Oh, they tired.
And we can handle that,
Yeah.
Well, it's,
Like Nathan said, that we need those numbers.
Yeah.
In a form of decision, so they'll get those for us.
So in the meantime, we're gonna add $1.
That's,
Yeah.
we need to talk about that, because that's more pressing.
That's two separate things, I mean, the lead back is a whole
Push
nother
off the
thing.
dollar per year, I mean, the 30 or $29,000 in the grand scheme of 27 million.
I was in the red.
Well, this is not $27 million.
30,000? I could find 30,000 in the sanitation budget. They've been in the negative now for years.
No, it's not, you can't say $27 million, that's not how this
No.
works. We're only in the
No, but
millions.
this isn't
It's a
sanitation, it's a separate fund.
We don't use general fund for that. However, we will look at, like I said, we have options, as we talked about, to split some funding out, so we will find you $30,000 if we have to. We don't recommend it, but we can do it if we have to.
and I appreciate y'all getting the numbers together for lease back and everything by May, that makes our job easier. You know.
Because what were the years that we had the, consecutive $1
It's
increase?
not this, the year before was the last year. So not this past budget cycle, was the 3 years before that.
Okay. So, at best, a city of Hartsville water bill is, what, like,
If you do right about $60.
$60.
That's,
six?
like, yeah, water, if you stay, I think it's 21, if you're under 2200 something
Yeah.
gallons. You average about 24, about $70, say 70.
No, but if you don't, if there's nothing, flat rate, it's about $60, right?
I think it's 19 base rate for water, around
Yeah.
19,
Y'all should
around
have
19 for sewer.
Brandon Carver knows it by heart right there.
For in-city customers, it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 63.
Yeah, that's it.
I understand it's every month their water and sewer is different, right? It's not flat bill 63 every month,
No,
but I mean.
okay, no, you know how to find out, I'm tell you how to find out.
Must do it on the.
So I was trying to conserve
so-
water, and my bill went up when that went down, so they told me, they said, well, it's 2,200 something gallons up to, I think it was $19 at the time. I was like, really? I said, how the hell was I had my 10-minute shower there? I didn't know much money, but they would charge me the same
It's a
thing.
base pay.
But it's,
I didn't know that.
you get so many.
Yeah, that's what I learned, I was saving water.
Cubic feet,
I appreciate it though.
Yeah, I was down
cubic
like,
meters, whatever.
I was
You
gonna
get
do
so
it.
many per
I was gonna
month,
do like 500
and you
gallons
go
a
over
month.
that's, so, that's what I said, if you have zero water use, if you have zero sanitation use, if you have zero, yard debris, Brandon, what's that number? $63. Look at the county. 30 with no, sanitation.
And
They're
if you
not
contract a
right.
private contract, you're also not getting recycled.
County doesn't have sewer.
Yeah,
That's right.
so they're paying that just for water.
And the county, as a county, you get their own.
Sewer in your trash, and you gotta speak to that.
Now,
Absolutely.
didn't county go to sewer?
You mean like public, if they go to the city line?
The
Most
wastewater
of them are
authority,
right.
No, they changed that.
I don't know.
Some years ago, they changed that, because remember people had, tanks, they
That's
had,
out.
they had wells, and they had, septic tanks, but they have sewage now, I'm pretty sure. Check on that.
They do, it's in selected,
Areas.
certain areas, not
Yeah,
all,
I think-
not all
I
possible.
think it's a misnomer,
Yeah.
water and sewer authority is.
City gave it an option, I know that's
Take a
something.
look at the big number, line 6-4, it's still in Department 432, county efficiencies.
Absolutely.
Well, listen, how much did they jack that up on us over the?
And that's commercial, so residents don't even pay towards that.
Right, but it's commercial, but have we been paying $200,000?
They just upped it, didn't we just
up
get it?
Or is
It's,
this another increase?
52.75 a ton at the Darling County transfer station.
And we determined that was more advantageous than running a truck up to Bishopville and tearing them up on the
Right.
mountain up there, right?
Correct.
$200,000 just to tip, no alternative.
But we're tipping less with the least capacity.
Go to home transfer station,
That's-
but
That's different, because that's
It is initially.
residential's covered in the property taxes.
Yeah. But, yeah, back to the topic at hand, we need to move on. I know we're not voting on a dollar right now, but separately, you're gonna get some leak back numbers for our consideration, but we do need to decide how to move forward.
I'd ask for, to check on, city water and sewage.
Well, I mean, with this, for as far as the sanitation bill, because that's just part of the whole bill.
Yeah, because we have, they just have water and sewage.
Yeah. You want us to know what their total cost is?
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, I mean, so an average bill is around $63, that includes
Right.
She
sanitation.
wanted other places.
We're talking about the county.
She wants the
Yeah.
county.
But as far as water rates or sanitation rates required?
I think
Water
just to
and
show that
sewer.
even the ours include sanitation too, right?
Yeah.
Understood.
Should have-
Get that for you. Absolutely.
I explain things better.
No, I understand, no, you're fine. I
Yo,
love it.
we're a lot cheaper and we're also like doing
Yeah, I
cut
know.
on fees and things like that is so
Because,
crazy.
I know that because they don't have it, and we actually one time looked at it to see if they wanted to hire the city of Hartsville as their sanitation provider.
Yeah.
Because we could provide to them for less than what they're paying their, people that are picking it up now. So just that number, so we can have it in front of us.
Absolutely.
Make that decision. Is that fair, David?
Well, I'll bring that to us in the workshop as well.
Yeah,
And we can postpone that conversation as well, if that's so desired.
because it's gonna really rock people right now. That dollar is, so I just wanna have everything in front of us
Okay.
before we say that.
Sure thing.
Thank you.
No problem. All right, moving on. So now we talked about our hospitality, but this is my favorite bit. Okay, so, few lines. So here is, again, this is combined our, looking at our hospitality accommodations, another indicator, key indicator of how the city is doing economically. We have an increase in that, and then another exciting part, which I like, is that accommodations is returning to pre-COVID numbers, which is very exciting. So again, a $95,000 increase to hospitality revenue that we're projecting, and a $40,000 increase to accommodations. Okay, any questions there?
On the, I'm not sure if it's accommodations or hospitality, but when the Butler Heritage Foundation applies, they normally apply for
Accommodations.
accommodations,
Yeah,
and they get 4,000, or
Depends
they,
on what the,
let me tell you, they usually get the full amount, they are so, I haven't been here yet, they hear that they didn't know.
the
they got the full
accommodations,
amount.
appropriations committee, when they look at that, they look at, the main thing they look at is heads and beds, and what's gonna bring in people who come and promote the hospital, that's why.
They do a great
Little
job.
Miss seems to get stuff sent out
Right.
later, sometimes we do that, and then also other agencies, and then we also apply for monies for Neptune Island, cause that's the biggest generator of people
Right.
coming in.
But I do wanna point out that those grants aren't in this fund, that's actually in general fund, the state accommodations is in general fund.
Yeah, this is a
So
separate.
it's not in there, but Butler, the amount that they've gotten in previous years is based off of what they applied for, and they were funded 100%.
okay, so, one year, the first year, they had applied for $4,000 that I was on council, and they had never gotten $4,000 before. So I had to take $1,000 from someplace else, and they only applied for 4,000. So, and it was brought to our attention that when they have the Butler Heritage Foundation, they have bids and bids and,
Absolutely.
hospitality, everything, accommodations, everything is maxed out. So I just wanna make sure that.
She does a great job presenting each year when she comes. Butler, and she wore like a cool shirt or like varsity jacket last year. It's a really great presentation. They do an exceptional job every year.
Those recommendations then come to you guys for approval.
Yep, so you'll see that.
But it just shows the strength of accommodations is increasing, which is good, so.
Is the red line of revenue combined? Or?
So revenue, just red is, it should be revenue for hospitality,
Okay.
sorry.
Okay.
That's, it's a mistype, but it's hospitality is the one,
Hospitality.
and then that is, so hospitality,
Accommodation.
just trying to combine it. I did, it's, go ahead and go to
And the still money to museum also, historical mark each year, come out of one of these.
We still have this historical markers
Good,
in there.
good, thank you.
And we need to, go ahead and start looking at the next ones we wanna do.
Historical markers?
Yeah.
We fund 2 a year.
Got one run?
No.
But as you can see, since, since COVID, we have increased close to 250,000, which is awesome. Alright. Next is, I'm gonna go through, just have a slide up, so I'm gonna go back to a couple funds that we have. You're nearing the end, very good. Starting on page 122, I'm just gonna go through, if you have any questions, you can name them, concessions. Any questions about that? Page 122. Okay, concessions, we are seeing a $4,000 increase in complex. These are just various funds that account for different things in our enterprise areas, so, concessions is gonna be our, parks and recreation, what we're talking for tournaments and whatnot. Okay, right. Yep.
That's right.
Any questions with that?
We still, have an agreement with the Pepsi.
We did.
Yes.
How long?
I have to go back and see, we renewed that one when we did the water parks, let me see how many years it is, it was a while.
This budget is brought to you by Pepsi.
And they still send the marketing checks and They did not bring along with that, but.
We actually have tried to attempt to negotiate stuff with the water park too. We really want to start having them participate more. Since we are Pepsiville, yes. But we do have Pepsi. Okay. Moving on, Infrastructure Park Fund 07, page 126. This is the 4th Street Infrastructure Multi-County Business Park that we have that is expiring in 2025. You'll recall we had the second one that is the canal area. But this has been successful for us, and I am gonna be getting ready to start approaching the county. I know they're probably a little sore from the last couple, but we want to approach them about another multi-county business park at some point soon. Keep these things rolling, because they have been very successful for us and for them, so. But any questions about that?
You said 4th Street.
4th Street area, it's Lowe's, that whole area, that was a
Oh, yeah,
multi-county
yeah.
business park, Walmart, multi-county business
That's
park.
a future,
Humane Society.
Humane Society.
Yeah. Back behind the list. All right, then you can skip solid waste fund. And the next one is hospitality is skipped, we already did that one, moving on. I believe it's next is the debt service fund, 143. This is where we are gonna be paying for this general obligation bonds, we are gonna be paying for the canal remainder payment, that is gonna be closing on Thursday, so we will be writing a check to Harley for that. What we're gonna be doing, as again to remind everyone, we're going to be spending $1 million from our general fund reserve balance. We then are going to reimburse ourselves with the general obligation, and then we're gonna take the monies, put that into the investment pool, and then use the interest to pay for the interest for the GO bond.
And
Makes
make
sense?
money in the process.
Yes, sure.
Depending on
No, we will pay,
Well,
depending on just
wait a
says, we're going to.
It's
we're
gonna cover the payment.
We're gonna cover the payments, we'll put it that way.
That's gonna cover payment.
Now,
I
that's,
love that though,
it's
I think
very,
great.
it's very pyramidal shaped, you know, it's a triangle. No, but that's just for this, we still have other
We
monies,
absolutely still
we
have-
have other monies in the investment that is making money, yeah.
We
But
absolutely
this
do.
was designed, the bond and everything was designed to pay off its own interest rates by paying it off.
That will bring us out of debt.
We'll be in debt
It
to
will,
ourselves.
absolutely.
On
But it'll bring us out of debt, and the city council,
You're correct.
the city will own all the property over there, be in charge of its own destiny. And the planning commission, as I mentioned before, they've taken a very active interest in this thing, in addition to some other topics of discussion. They're looking at it from a planning and zoning perspective of what it could be and what it would look like if it was rezoned. So that's a fun little exercise they're going through, but they wanna come up with a recommendation to give you guys. There are some things that are happening around it with the governor's school expansion, some other stuff going on, so we wanna take a look at what those things will be, and then we can start developing a plan of action for that property, and then sell it off, or sell parts of it, whatever we wanna do, whatever you guys wanna do, and repay ourselves from that debt.
And this is, like we said, this bond is out right now, when we talked about this, we set it up where we can prepay. When I sell a parcel, I sell pieces, I'm paying down this bond.
We are, with
So
money,
that
the
is
monies
the goal,
themselves, we go
is
right
to pay this off before it comes due. The quicker I can get it paid off, the better.
Yes,
But the interest rates on this are gonna be better than what I was paying, so this is a good
That's
deal.
what that's what I was trying to get at.
yeah,
That's,
exactly.
it's a better deal for us,
And it's
absolutely.
one lot now.
It's been combined from one lot as one parcel number, we are doing individual closings on every single previous one,
Right.
that's involved. But it's one parcel, the road still exists, we had determined to wait to see what we wanna do with those. Again, I think the best course of action once we acquire the property is to really have a time to look at, see what you guys want to do with that property and how you think it best fits the area. Look around the city, look to left and right as we all learn from that training, see what fits into that area and then go towards that goal. And if it looks like it's gonna be a private-public partnership, if it looks like it's gonna be the city maintain things, if it looks like we do wanna invest some monies into it, we still have the multi-county business park to fall back on, we have a lot of different things, there's opportunities there, so. A lot of positives with that thing, but the first goal is to get it paid off and then come up with a plan of action that makes sense and is feasible.
Yeah,
That's
I
the
want
main
to see
thing.
a zero, owing, so I can have fresh eyes and true eyes, not rose colored glasses eyes.
Right.
And be able to know what's going on at all times.
Okay,
Thank you.
Sounds good.
Anything else for that one? Now we're just getting to the appendixes. Do you guys wanna dive through these, or do you wanna? These are the reference materials. This, I did skip stormwater. Stormwater is a account that we've had in place. It has an employee in it, and we still maintain it because we've ever done that before.
And it's paid 100%.
100% out of utilities transfer into it.
But then you go for the main thing that I think you would point out would be the grants.
Oh, yeah, I do wanna, so we do have some background information back there. It does have all our stuff, but if you go to 152, that is our beginning of our grant projects. This is appendix B. Grant projects, that again is just to show you what we have active right now. It's $12 million, and again, 8.5 of that, or 9 million of that has just been awarded. So, huge increase for us, but we are going after several other grants at the time right now. Believe it,
These are all
yes it is,
pending.
pending, yeah.
And so one of these is now not pending. This is
Yep,
now where-
we got that. Okay, and we will find out about, some of, like, the Byerly grants, they decide that in October, I believe. DOT grant, I think that's an August timeframe, or July timeframe. So we'll know about a lot of those things, but that's just the pending grants we have, and we also have those other grants I mentioned before, Parks and Recreation. We're looking at getting.
You close out South Park.
We are negotiating liquidated damages right now. That's where we're at. The South Park lift station is done. Yes.
So you said, what about liquidated
No,
damages?
we're going after liquidated damages.
Okay.
They took they took way longer than they should.
Yeah, and if you look at it, you'll probably find out they start another job where they could get
Absolutely.
full compensation.
Yeah.
Because that's what the contract.
We are actively negotiating with our attorneys right now, what we're gonna do. So it's not fully closed out, once that's done, we'll let you guys know.
But the pump's functional.
The pump is on. And they got all the gravel out they put in. Alright. That is all I wanted to cover in this, but we do have some, pending action items that we will work on moving forward in the May workshop. We'll have a budget section, we'll treat it as a regular workshop. That's for the sanitation. It's gonna be May, second, May second. What other questions, again, do you have, or do you have any more you'd like to cover? We do have a 2 o'clock executive session that we will try and see if we can return a little earlier. That is the budget.
One other thing, I'm sorry, I didn't mention, when I was mentioning the, different things at Pride Park, another swing out there.
Okay,
Absolutely.
another swing set out there, or just another swing on the chimney?
Another,
And I have 15,000, I'm trying to find the piece of equipment that I'll be adding out there that we got from Duke. So they're gonna be getting a brand new piece of equipment. I've narrowed it down to a few, I wanted it to be an all-inclusive play, so that's why I'm saying it longer, but we went out there and looked at the playground the other day. It needs help, and, we did notice the swing, so that absolutely needs to be done too.
yeah. because
Absolutely.
There is a
Gentlemen.
grown gentleman, and he loves to swing.
Loves it.
Well, I don't know, so as part of the conversation, we went through the exercise with Garrison's, when we had the banners going up, and we met Garrison's mom.
Right.
And the piece, Ken and I met with her, and one of the things that really kind of came out is that all play, inclusive play, is all ages too.
Right.
And so, you know, people who have special needs,
Right.
they may be of adults'
That's
size.
right.
So we need to make sure when we're designing programs, it's not just for kids.
Right.
It has to be for all play.
Right.
And that is a big focus that we're trying to do.
And to further what you're getting at, not have features that are only for use by
Right.
special needs, but do everything, or
It's
almost everything
all
can be
play.
used by
Right.
anybody.
Because-
So you don't have exclusions, like you can use this but not that.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I'm a very interactive person, so just like the young man, I actually danced with him at Christmas open house.
Mhm.
And one day I might walk out there and he's swinging, and I might wanna swing with him.
Yeah.
That's right,
So,
absolutely. That's one why I was out there, so.
yeah. All right, thank you.
Well, I wanted to say thanks for putting this together. As I was going through it, generally when I saw a number that looked big, it was explained because it's a transfer or something like that. Like, I think this really tells a story of us doing quite well, our revenue I would question something, it was either, you know, at the end of like, well, that's a lot of money on professional development. Well, it's not really, in the grand scheme of things, but it is important that we better ourselves, so that we serve the city better, and to your point too, that there's already been instances, like I think you canceled something when the McLeod Road project did. So, well, I'm gonna skip this issue. Sure. And I've deferred asking for some programs and stuff too, because we're doing the salary increases and all that, I just felt like that was more important. The other thing, I would look at like, why is postage going up by double, or, you know, what are all these office supplies? Could it be an email, but that's just old digital mayor over here, but that's really pennies under the thousands of dollars for a trillion budgets. This tells a great story, and it, I don't know, it's awesome.
It shows it's good success of the city, and I think, something that really will just again echo is that a lot of this is from the hard work of our staff, not the putting it together, because that's a separate thank you, but the expenses being down, that is because all of our departments and our department heads and everyone who works in those departments treats this money very respectfully and tries to use it in the best way possible. We understand this is the people's money, and we're gonna use it as best we can, and the only reason we use something is because we need to. And the cool thing about things like the McLeod Road is that when we have a problem, we can fix it, and we came together and fixed it. So that's exciting to me, but it's really a testament to our staff and all the work they've done. They're an outstanding group, and I don't think there's anything this group can't accomplish if they put their minds to it, so it's really a testament to them. Ma'am.
Excuse me, there was also one other thing that I wanted to point out. In the, revenue and taxes for the homestead exemption.
Yes, ma'am.
It states that the homestead exemption provides for 4% instead of a 6%. Well, the homestead exemption is only for a residence, not for a lot.
Yes, ma'am.
So if there's a residence that doesn't receive a homestead exemption and is owner occupied, they're at 4% as well.
Gotcha.
They're at 4%. And privately owned agricultural land is at 4%. Everything else is, RG, other than the owner occupied, that's 6%. Then you get into the, commercial and industrial things like that. But
We'll make a
just
note
wanted
of
to
that.
bring that note out.
We'll make a note of that in the budget narrative.
Because that, if you look at it the way it is, you think every resident was paying 6%
Yeah.
instead of 4%.
I'll take a look at it. Something that we are gonna be doing too, first time, we're gonna be posting this as proposed budget narrative draft, and clearly identifying that this is gonna be going up for vote. With it, we'll have the note that we're gonna be looking at some of the things, but, a lot of public has asked for us to do this for transparency, so we're gonna be publishing this as well online. In addition, I've had some requests for the PowerPoint, we'll be putting that out as well. So if you guys have any questions, just field them to me, or you guys can answer yourselves, we prefer, but, we're excited to show off what we're doing. Okay. Sharon Reed, will you get in touch with the attorneys? Okay. Just a reminder, and I meant to mention this at the beginning, but you guys got a copy of this. So this Thursday, please, if you can, come to the Main Street Chats and Cheers. It's an emergency meeting. We've had a really good success with this, but they love it when council members are there as well. Please, if you can make yourself available, I know I'll be here at 6:30.
What time, 6:30?
6:30, it's gonna be at the Addition here, Thursday night.
This is what we can do.
It's this thing right here.
I had it somewhere.
They really wanna hear from us, and they love connecting, and we love some food available, and they just hear updates on what's going on in the community. Okay? Well, we have a 2:00 executive session, it is 12:54. You guys you were too quick, well done. But we're gonna see if we can get a little earlier, but, you guys are excused until 2 maybe, I don't know, it's up to you, Mayor.
Yeah, I say, unless we get a reply from Laura